There it goes. Hi, everybody. This is Katie Hawkins from Unbridled Equine, and I'm excited to be with you all today to talk a little bit about handlers safety when using the AquaPacer. So safety is something that is vitally important, not only for horses and for people. And we talk so much about horses and the different ways that we use the AquaPacer for the horses, that today I wanted to focus a little bit on us, because it is a huge part that we understand how to not only have the people there handling the horses appropriately, but what each person's job is when they're handling them. To give you a little background, I am the owner and founder of Unbridled Equine, and we are a rehab, bodywork, and education resource for people in the equine industry. And our basis is in bodywork. I started that about 7 years ago, but have developed from there into doing rehab. And I'm so excited to partner with Hudson Aquatic to not only utilize their AquaPacer, but also to teach people about the importance of how to use it so that not only people are safe, but also so that horses are getting the benefits, the many, many benefits that they can get from the water treadmill. During the session today, hi Shelly, thanks for joining us. During the session, if you have any questions, please utilize the chat. If you don't feel like just raising your hand and asking it, you can always just speak up and ask a question as well. This is discussion based, so as I go along, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If you have any questions about something I'm sharing, or even something you want to share from your own experience. Because what I have found is that when people share from their own experience, we all learn. We're all working with different disciplines, breeds of horses, and so there's I find it fascinating when someone has a story to share, and maybe I've had a similar experience, maybe it's something that I've never experienced, and I'm able to learn a little bit more just from learning from their experience. So with that, always the fun part of figuring out the technology, I'm going to share my screen and get started on the presentation. There we are. Okay. I also have this awesome cast that I'm rocking. Of course, it's a horse injury that I got. It's exactly a week ago. So I'm kind of, it's difficult to handle the keyboard when you've got a bum wrist, but I will hopefully be able to do it to the best of my abilities. So I'm going to bring this presentation up. Once it's up, let me know for sure if you can see the screen. It's thinking for a minute. Give it a sec. See, it's thinking. Sometimes I overwhelm it with Zoom and this. Present full screen. All right, give me 1 minute. While I have it on here, if you want to share in the chat, if you have an AquaPacer, and if you're using an AquaPacer right now, I'd love to hear a little bit about, in the chat, you can send me what state you're from. You can send what, if you have an AquaPacer, if you're using it, if you have one installed. Like I said, I know Bailey's here. I'm going to be meeting with them for a training in about, let's see, we're in August, so maybe in like a month, maybe a little less. How exciting. Okay, I'm going to wing it since it's not wanting to pull up in the presentation mode. So this is where we just have some fun. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the slide that's in front of you. Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to talk about handler safety when using the AquaPacer. The main thing, if you remember nothing else from today, the main thing I want you to remember is that my recommendation and Hudson's recommendation is that every time you run your AquaPacer, you have 2 people running it. And I'm going to go through today why this is so important. But I'd love to hear in the chat as well, if you, I'm going to pull up my chat so I can see where everyone's from. Ooh, Shelly, she's got one ordered and it's coming soon. That's like That's like Christmas when you know your AquaPacer is coming. So, I have seen, especially on social media, because that's where we get all the news, right? That's where we get a lot of information, and we are able to see kind of what's going on in the rehab world. I oftentimes am seeing, in my opinion, water treadmills, not the Hudson in particular, but water treadmills being used in a variety of fashions. Perfect. We have Sue here from Salt Lake City, Utah. And perfect, David. Oh, Callie, you must be her husband. Yes. Okay, you guys are from Missouri. And I just talked to his wife, who's a veterinarian. We had a great consulting meeting last week, and so I'm so happy you're here. So I see people using water treadmills in all sorts of fashions, and today I just want to lay down the law of my law of how I think it should be done. And this is really looking at it through the lens of safety, and looking at it through the lens of how are you going to best utilize your water treadmill for the horse as well. So in this picture, I just want to highlight that there's two roles, and what I call them are the lead handler and the support handler. This gives clarification, just if you wanted to understand, when you're working with staff or when you're talking to each other about it, there's the lead handler and the support handler, and I want to go through what each role does. Now, interestingly enough, the support handler has a bigger role than the lead handler, which you would think that would be the opposite, but it's fascinating that your support person is so very important, because they are what's going to make this session successful because of the responsibilities the lead handler has. They need their support person. And so let's start first with our lead handler. So our lead handler, and this is a beautiful picture of a lead handler working with the horse. They are going to be the one that walks the horse on and off the AquaPacer from the side platform. So your lead handler is in charge of the horse, and they're going to be leading them using a lead rope. I like to use a lead rope and halter in one. Pro-Choice has like a great setup. That way it's less to deal with as far as having a lead rope that's attached. But your lead handler is the person walking the horse on and off the water treadmill. Your lead handler also is the one that operates the control screen. So your control screen is your touch screen, and that is, you kind of see it past that lead handler next to her left arm shoulder area. And that touch screen, I love it because you're able to move it up and down. And so that way you can put it at a level that works for you. And the control screen is where you are going to fill the water, drain the water, have the treadmill move, speed up, speed down. It's where your emergency stop is. It is where all the buttons that you're going to be using during your session are at. So the lead handler is going to be operating that while also holding on to the horse. The other piece is that the lead handler is going to be holding the horse's lead rope to keep the horse in the correct position. And as I was putting together this presentation the other day, in my head, I was thinking like, oh, there's another webinar, horses in the correct position in the water treadmill. Because originally when they start, I like to say that they have sea legs. So their front and their hind legs are kind of working not together. And on top of that, we want to make sure that their body position, yes, we'd like it as equal as possible, but I also want their head in the middle, because think about it. If their head is off to the side looking at the handler, they're going to work their muscles in that fashion, almost like they're doing a shoulder in. So we want to think about their head straight, their head low and down and relaxed. Now, that doesn't mean the whole time. They're going to put their head up. They're going to look around. That's fine. But the lead handler is going to keep a hand on that lead rope to make sure that the front end of the horse stays in the correct position, which is the head and shoulder in the back. And then they also are going to communicate their plans and their needs with the support handler. So here, what I want you to think about is, okay, the lead person has multiple things going on. So they've walked the horse onto the water treadmill. The horse is on the water treadmill. Now it's their job to keep the horse's head in place with one hand, while with the other hand working the touch screen. So they need to have a support handler that understands how they're going to communicate their needs. And this is it's something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but the communication piece is always going to come from your lead handler, in the way that I want the lead handler in charge of kind of calling the shots on that session. So based on the communication between the lead and the support handler, you guys are gonna come up as a team okay, this horse, the speed, how does it look? Okay, it looks like they're not quite at their normal rate of walking. Let's up it one. How do you think that looks? How's the back end looking back there? My front end's pretty moving, side to side. Do you think this height's maybe a little too hard for them? Are we at their hock in their back end, above or below it? And then also their needs. There might be something you need while the session is going on, and you are not going to be letting go of the horse or not near your touch screen, so that support person is going to be your person that's kind of doing your errands or anything you need done in the area or with the horse while you're there. So that's an overview of what the lead handler is doing. Any questions about the lead handler's job, or if you've had any situations as a lead handler that you have a question on? I'm going to go to the next slide, but you can either ask or share in the chat, and I am happy to ask or answer those questions for you. While I do that, I'm going to see if it's going to let me share it. No, I'm not even, I shouldn't mess with technology. I'm just going to let it be. Because once I try to fix it, I'll mess it up even more. Okay, so you're a support handler. Like I said, this one is a bigger role than your lead handler in the way that they have more responsibilities. A lot of times people lovingly call this like, oh, I'm just the poop catcher. Like, well, yes, you're going to catch the poop, but your job is way more important than that. So if you think you're just catching poop, maybe you need to take another role. So the support handler, like I showed you in that picture, is going to be the person towards the hind end of the horse. And the support handler is going to be the one that prepares the AquaPacer for the horse. So you want to make sure both doors are open. I like to have the water to the point where I call it like filling the tank, so that it's high enough where when we get the horse on, it's going to just come up above the belt. Versus it having to fill all the way. So we pre-fill it is what we call it. And we have a support handler do that as well. They're also going to make sure it's on the right temperature if you're going to be doing hot or cold, and making sure everything's set. So when the horse goes on, the lead handler has everything set up to go. They're also going to help guide the horse from the side or back when walking on the AquaPacer. This is especially important when you are training a horse for getting on and off the AquaPacer. And what I mean by guiding the horse is that and I'll show you a picture of this in a little bit, once the lead handler changes from walking next to the horse to going up on the platform, their ability to move or guide the horse is pretty much gone, because they are up on the platform and they're not next to the horse's body. So this is where you need your support handler to come in and guide the horse to understand we're going up this ramp and into the water treadmill. And so they're going to be either using their hands or their body to help guide the horse while you have the front end of them. And so once that is done and the horse is on the AquaPacer, they are the ones that's going to close the back door. Depending on where the horse is at in their training, some horses get on to the AquaPacer better with both doors open, especially towards the beginning. This gives them less of that claustrophobic feeling. As they are more comfortable with the water treadmill, you're going to be able to have it where your front door might be closed to start. If it is not closed, that support handler will first, depending on the horse, I always say, let's close the front door and then let's close the hind door, in that order. If you have it where the horse is comfortable enough that the front door can be closed, then they're just going to be closing up the hind door once the horse is safely loaded in there. And then that important job of stands on the side. Oh, do I have a question? Maybe someone just joined us. Yeah. Christiane, thanks for joining us.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We are just on the support handler part. And I can always go back to the lead handler roles too if you have any questions. But we're on the first part of the support handler. So when they're on the side platform with the lead handler, yes, they are going to be catching poop. And the main reason I talk about this is because people ask me all the time, do you use a diaper on the horse? And I don't. I really think keeping the diapers off of them allows them to walk in a more natural rhythm and cadence. And it takes away that feeling of they've got something between them where they're actually going to engage their hind end and engage to their top line. And catching the poop as they're going with a pool net is super easy. And it in some ways becomes a game, because when you get good at it and then you end up dropping one in the water, you're like, oh, how could I drop one? But that person is able to catch the poop and just put it into a muck tub and get it out of there so that it's not circling through or cycling through the filters. And so being able to catch the poop, that is that hind person's job. But like I said, it's just one part of their job. And like I was saying, the support handler has that bigger role compared to the lead handler. So the support handler communicates to the lead handler how the hind end is moving. And especially at the beginning, when the lead handler is working the touchscreen and holding the horse, you would think you'd be able to just look back and see how the hind end is going. But it's not that simple. Because you're multitasking already. It's a lot easier as you're changing the speed to ask your support handler, hey, how's the back end looking? Are they staying even? Is it too fast because they can't keep up and they're riding the back door? And I need to slow the pace down. So that support person is going to let you know, hey, the hind end is back here. They're pretty back and forth. They're hitting off the left side of the wall. They're leaning on the right side of the wall. They're too far back. If they're sometimes at the beginning, they want to ride the treadmill back as they start to figure out their feet, that hind person's going to keep that hind end moving. And then when the session is complete, they are going to be the one to open the front door when the session is complete and everything's drained. I want that lead handler to always stay. Christiane, I'll go back to this slide for you. That lead handler is always going to stay with the front of the horse. So again, they're the one that's walking the horse on and off. So as they walk them on, they're going to get onto the platform, bring the horse to the front. If the front door is closed, that support handler is going to shut that back door. But then when we're done, the front lead handler, even though they're closer to the door, stay with your horse, stay with the control screen. The support person comes around, opens that front door. And then again, the lead handler always has the lead rope with the horse. So they're the one that's going to walk the horse slowly off the water treadmill. And the last one here, and Christiane, just so you see too, I was showing a little bit of that lead versus support handler and where you are on the water treadmill as far as location. And then with that support handler, this last one is super important. So they follow the lead handler's direction during an emergency situation. So what this means is, and I talked a little bit about it during the lead handler part, but your lead handler is going to be in control of how the session is going. So let's say, I'm going to go worst case scenario. This horse is not doing well. It's their first time on it. They keep riding the treadmill back, hitting the back door. Finally, they have just hit their limit. They're having a meltdown, a little toddler meltdown. And the lead handler says, I'm not comfortable. I'm going to start to drain. They start to drain the treadmill. They want to communicate this with their support handler at any time they start draining, because that's going to change how the horse is moving. And that's also going to change how the horse feels in the water as the water level goes down. And maybe as you're draining, the horse starts flipping out and you're like, nope, the session's done. I'm not feeling comfortable. You hit the emergency stop, you let things drain. Now the horse is having a meltdown. Who is your person that's going to open your quote unquote floodgates at the bottom underneath the ramp? That's your support person. Your support person, you're going to say, hey, emergency stop. I want to get this horse out, drain the tank. Your support person is the one that without even hesitation listens to the lead handler and says, all right, we're in an emergency situation. I'm going to open the floodgates on the front and back. If the tank is really high, I'm going to go ahead and prop open the door a little bit using my foot so I can drain it as quickly as possible. The support person is the one that is going to follow the lead handler's directions in an emergency situation so that the lead handler can stay with their control panel and stay with the horse, and the support handler are the hands that are going to hopefully get everything taken care of so you can get that horse back relaxed, taken care of in a way that there's no one letting go of them, but stuff is getting done. So that's a little bit about those two main important roles. And I wanted to show some pictures of how those work at different times. So the first picture on the bottom left, and that one is where you're first walking the horse up to the water treadmill. In this one, the doors are open on the front and the back. And so the horse is just taking a moment to look at it. And then my support handler is just off to the side. That's Kayla in the black sweatshirt, off to the side, waiting to see what directions I need before I pop up on the platform. And then in the picture on the top right, what you see is this horse is still actually in the learning process. But what I want you to see is that if the lead handler up on the platform had the lead rope, the support handler, which is me in the back, is helping to guide the horse on. This one, we ended up using an extra long lead rope. We were doing some training, but I want you to see that moment where when the lead handler is up on the platform, you can see how they kind of lose their ability to guide the horse at all. And you're going to need your support handler's help to get that horse up the ramp and onto the track. You also will be using your door, which will be on the right-hand side, somewhat as a chute to help get them up. And then on this next one, which is talking a little bit about the after side. So my support person the horse has water treaded. They shut the hind door, the back door, when I got the horse onto the water treadmill. So going back to this one, after I would get that horse on, Kayla in the black sweatshirt would come up, close the front door, close the hind door. If the horse had both doors open, if the horse is, a seasoned pro, just closing the hind door. And then the lead person is going to still be by the control unit, but then step down off of the platform while leading the horse. Now, the other person is going to be the support person is going to be the one that opened the door. Now, depending on the horse in your setup, I want to talk a little bit about where that person is as the horse comes down. In this picture, Kayla is next to the door. This is a horse that was very calm to get on, very calm to get off. And we were practicing the on-off during training. If you have a horse that is going to fly off of the treadmill, jump off of the treadmill after you open the door, you really want to teach them that there has to be a waiting moment. Just because the door opened does not mean they get to just run out. They need to wait until the lead handler leads them down off of it, which is oftentimes you getting down off of the platform and then having them come down. With that support person, Kayla was comfortable in that position. We had talked, we were comfortable with her there. If you have a horse though, that's going to come off a little hot, maybe come off and turn and get real excited. If you're in any way nervous about the horse and you don't have an opening behind the treadmill on that side, you don't ever want to get yourself pinned to where you're stuck in a location and a horse can turn into you. So that support person might be that they open the door and then walk away, and that lead person then guides them off the treadmill. So again, thinking about safety and communicating it between the two of you. I have had it before with horses that in this bottom right picture that just need time around the treadmill. And this is where that support person can come into play either before the session or in times off from the session, or just as you're training the horse. I want the horse to get comfortable that the water treadmill it's not scary. It's all maybe new things to them, but that here is Becca sitting on the railing here, and just the horse understanding like, hey, take a smell of it, check it out, know that we're going to be using this and that it's just going to be part of your routine. And so with this horse in particular, going out to the pasture, each day they walk past the water treadmill purposefully, not through it, just past it. So they know that it's just part of the environment now and it's not going anywhere, even though it was new at one time. So with that, that was the kind of a broad overview of the lead person and the support person and what their roles are and how they work together. Now, with that said, there are nuances to this, as there are with any situation, but definitely in a situation where you have a horse and then you have a horse and a water and treadmill and all of that stuff. There are always nuances to this. A couple important things. I really push that there are no cell phones, other than if you're trying to take pictures or get video while the horse is going. It can be really easy as you get going and a horse gets comfortable with it. And I will say, like, I'm just as at fault of answering a text message or grabbing a call really quick, because I've got this sweet quarter horse that just treads really happily and it's just 20 minutes of easiness. But one thing I really want to remind everyone, and it's even something I remind myself on a lot, is that a emergency or an accident only takes a split second to happen. And so for that time that the horse is on the treadmill, I want it to be purposeful. And I want to make sure you're keeping them in that correct position, that proper position that I said I'm probably going to do another webinar about, but where the horse needs to be in the water treadmill. You need to be paying attention as a lead handler to where that is. And then as a support handler, it's easy back there to think, oh, I'm just catching poop, no big deal. But remember, if anything were to happen, you are the hands, you are the person doing everything. And so it's important that you're ready to step into action as soon as needed. So I always remind people this: take things one step at a time. Get your horse acclimated to it slowly. Get them acclimated to the fact that there's going to be two people on platforms higher than them, which maybe the only time they've been around something like that with one person is at a mounting block. And then really getting them up and down, doors open and closed, all of that in a calm manner, so that when they're on the water treadmill, it's all just fun for them, because once they get used to the water and get used to treading, it really is such an enjoyable experience for them. With that, do I have any questions or people that would like to share maybe examples of lead or support handler, experiences they've had, or how they've done this maybe a little differently, in a question you have about it? You can unmute yourself and ask the question. I'll open up the chat so you can also do it that way. But this is something, like I said, that people have done water treadmills in all different ways. And I work to not judge what I see on maybe social media, because you may not have the whole story. There could be two people there and someone's taking a video, but you see situations, and in my travels, I see a lot of different setups for water treadmills. And the thing is having these two people, you see that each person has such important roles that having two people is imperative to not only the horse being safe in there, but the handlers being safe running it as well. And that has to be so very important in keeping us safe with this. So any questions? I'll take a sip of water, put it in the chat, or go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away if you have a question. And you can always ask at the end too if you think of it later. And I'm always available through the email that I sent you and through text message if you have any questions about this that you think of at another time. And this is recorded as well, so if you ever want to go back and watch it and want to utilize it when talking to people, or maybe talking to a new staff member about what the role is, this is just an outline of what each role does, that lead handler and support handler. Does anyone have any examples? Let's see. I know Bailey doesn't have hers in yet. And then Missouri, you guys just got yours in. David, is it going well running things with two people? If you don't want to talk, you can just give me a thumbs up. But is it going well with two people?
Yes, it's going pretty well. Probably the first horse we loaded was one of our just ranch horses. Been there, done that, pretty laid back. And the latches on the left side of the treadmill,
Yes,
they're pretty sharp. And
correct.
he actually, like, he didn't break skin or anything, but it scratched up his chest. He
When
bumped
he
into that
was he getting on or getting off?
getting on.
Getting on. Okay, so he kind of bulged out to the left
Right,
as he was getting on. Okay, so
right,
that would be that support handler helping to guide, because what you're talking about is where the little latches come out as far as where the door hooks into, correct?
right.
Yeah, so those do come out quite a bit. And I agree with you. I think that is something where, and when they're first learning, like that's the hardest time, right? Because they are just so unsure of everything. And so that is where that support handler is going to come in and really kind of create not a wall in the way that I want the horse to have the ability to go back and forth, but that idea of like guiding them on, because there are sharp areas, and eventually when they understand it, they're just going to pop right on, right? But at that beginning they are very wiggly and unsure, and that's where your support handler needs to be right in there, not hanging, but right in there with the horse safely. But that's
And we've actually added a guard to those.
awesome.
I made a guard out of a 2x4 that latches onto them, and I can latch that on there, load the horse. When I go to close the door, it just slips off and close the door.
Send me a video of that. I would love
Um,
to see that.
I don't have a video of it. I've got photos of it. I
Oh,
could
photos work too. Yeah, that
share
is such
now
a
if
good
you
thing
want.
to share, because especially when people are loading, if you have like, let's just say like a huge warm blood or a draft, sometimes you have these bigger horses that even though the opening is wide, and they shouldn't have any issue getting in, sometimes it's nice to have tools in your tool belt, and people sharing their experiences and what they've done, is so helpful, because you made something that probably is somewhat simple and someone could recreate at their own farm. I've never had a horse catch themselves on that, getting on. But I'm always very, very aware of those, because they are sharp. Like they have sharpness to them, just in the way that that is how it has to be welded so the door closes. But horses are horses, and of course it would be the first horse you would load, because that's how life with horses works, is like if they're going to do it, they're going to find a way. So let's start it off with a bang. But that's a great example of your support handler really needing to be there. Now, could that still have happened? Totally. But having that
Well,
support handler guiding them on.
and we've only had 5 different horses on there,
Okay.
but I would say at least 3 of them have bumped into that area,
Okay.
out of the 5.
Okay.
The other thing we did is I was talking to Clint with
Yes.
AquaPacer.
Mhm.
He said that some people have like mounted a gate on the back end of them as like another guide on that side, and we've
On
done
the
that as
left side.
well.
You're talking about
Do
on the
what?
left side?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that has really helped. Now, so far, all the horses we've put on are ranch horses, rodeo horses that kind of know what's up. They're not so much scared and worried as they're just like, you want me to do what? And
Totally. Yes.
so
Do they more put
we
the
can
brakes on?
do what?
Do they more put the brakes on where they're like, "Er, I'm not gonna go
Yeah,
out there"? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so these horses are ones that we can put a little more pressure on them and not get in an unsafe situation.
Okay.
So just adding that has allowed us to more safely control them, because otherwise they were trying to run over the support handler to,
Right.
not walk on the treadmill.
And that
And
is where in my training I go over a lot of in my protocol of like we have a timeline personally of how, like, okay, we're going to introduce this, we're going to get you on, we're going to get things rolling because we need to get you treading, because we've got a time frame here. And there is a piece to slowing down that side of it. I have had horses that load the moment I walk them up there, and they never have an issue. And then I have had a horse that has taken up to a month to get loaded and learn it. Now, he was an Arabian, and I think he was an anomaly, not as far as Arabians go, but as far as treading goes. But I have seen that the more we push and apply pressure, as I'm going to call like making them get on it, the more accidents I have seen. Where if they are allowed to process it at their own rate, with our guidance, so it's not sitting back and being like, oh, smell this treadmill for a week. And then, because I don't even really like using treats. Like, I don't want treats involved. This is work, and I'm going to work with you so you understand this is safe. But what they do, especially when you have the horses that are like put the brakes on, which I see more in kind of your ranch horse, Western pleasure, quarter horse breed, they're a little, I want to say smarter, but like, I want to check this out first before I put my body on it. Like, let them navigate it. Like, let them figure it out, and not let them run over you, push into you, run through you, like anything like that. I don't ever want that. But I do a lot of times recommend, when you have a horse that you're having to kind of like push from that left side on, actually just needs a little more time. And so that can be allowing them to take a moment, maybe check out the ramp or check out the steps, or is there a change in how the footing is, where it goes from a mat or no mat to a mat. Sometimes slowing that down is really the best way to decrease injury. And I understand also from the standpoint that slowing things down takes more time. And that's something that when I work with people on a consulting standpoint or a training standpoint, I always recommend charging for water treadmill training. Just the same way that, you're going to charge for a treadmill session. It takes time to train the horse to it. And I would rather you take the time and charge the people so it's done properly. And so you feel like the time and energy you're spending is it's paying you can't, the horse I'm training for a week, I still have to get paid on because I'm still using man hours to do it. But this belief that we're going to spend the time to train this and use a protocol to train the horse to accept the water treadmill as part of it. What I have seen is that you do have a decrease in injury of them just doing things. That doesn't mean always, but them doing things like getting caught up because they're so wiggly and nervous. And that's something we can work on too, as I work and consult with you guys as well. Great thing to bring up though. And I would love to see pictures, because I always have people asking about different ways to do things.
The other thing we've done, one horse we've done, she's very, got a very big motor and kind of wanted to launch off.
Okay.
We actually backed her off the treadmill
Yes.
a couple times.
Love that. I was going to bring that up.
Well.
That's a great one. So that was another thing I was going to bring up. The horses that when I was talking about trying to get them to take a breath before they get down, if they're one that wants to launch off the front and you feel like by them either jumping off the water treadmill and not using the ramp, or the way they go off is dangerous in that they want to run or they're not good with their footing. Horses are often used to backing off something like this if they're used to doing it with a trailer. And I have had a lot of success backing horses off of the water treadmill instead of letting them out the front door, especially if they're a personality where they have more of that motor or they want to jump off. And it has worked really, really well. They pay a lot of attention when they have to back up. And so it's a great method to use. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is something that works really nicely as well. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those, David. Anyone else have any questions or anything they want to share?
Can I share an observation?
Yes, please.
Back to the two handlers.
Yes.
Can't emphasize that enough. And I know that that's what I've seen Katie and her team do. And in another setting where I won't name names, I came around the corner in an aisle once, and there was a girl, one single handler, sitting on the platform with her phone in her hand, and the horse was just in the water all by himself. And the soccer mom and me kicked in, and I'm like, but it wasn't my place to say anything. But I just felt like that is such an accident waiting to happen. So
Thank you. And I also get to observe all sorts of things. And I'm always careful where I'm like, I don't know the situation, right? Like maybe they haven't been trained properly, or maybe the person, because with like a dry treadmill, I run those, like if you have just a dry treadmill, I run that with one person, no problem. People leave their horses on treadmills. I don't do that with my rehab horses. I like to be there standing with them at all times, because if they hurt themselves or something happens, I want to be there. We're already dealing with an injury, so let's not make more. But with a regular treadmill, you're going to just put the horse on by yourself. It's often done with one person. And so I think the two people idea is different with the water treadmill from what people are used to seeing or experiencing. But what I always remind people right away is like, when you leave that horse on there, even if the front door is closed, you have to let go of that horse to go back and shut the back door, come back. That horse has to be willing to stand there patiently that whole time. And then you have to start all of it by yourself as far as the control panel, and watch the entire horse. So you can't do that. Like you can't be looking at your control panel doing things and no one has eyes on the horse. And so it's just that piece where, has it been done? Sure. But is it best practice? And that's what I really, really go to of horses. Like this piece of equipment is so impressive and so cool, and you can get the most amazing results out of it. Take the time to use it right and use it well, and you'll see the benefits from it. And anytime there isn't the right amount of staff or people are being lazy, that scares me, because that's when something happens, or that's when the horse is not getting the best that it can from this, because they're not even thinking about how high is the water, how fast is the tread going, should I change, should I slow it down, should I raise the water, should I lower it? They're not even having that thought process, because like you said, this person was sitting on their phone. They weren't even probably even watching the horse. And so it's really a missed opportunity, but also a safety issue as well. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And it's something that, yeah, you're going to see a little bit of everything. And I think that's where I just really dive into that education piece of, you don't know what you don't know. And so that's where having stuff like this is so helpful. Thank you. And David said he sent me the pictures, so I'm excited to look at those. I'm going to move on to the next part, but if you have any more questions, please let me know. I'm super excited. I wanted to have this up. It's announcement time. I was super pumped to be able to share with everyone, and I haven't shared this on social yet because I was waiting to have this webinar first. But Unbridled Equine the last year has kind of been in an interim space for our rehab, as we've been figuring out kind of the next location of where we were going to be based out of. So we're really excited to announce that we are partnering with Pinnacle Equine Therapy, based out of Northwest Arkansas and Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so we are taking our operation and going south, y'all. I'm going to have to go from being a Chicago to a Southern girl. But we are moving our operation and going to be partnering with Pinnacle Equine Therapy to kind of be bringing therapy for not only the horses in that area and all over the United States, but what I'm really excited about is it's now going to offer the opportunity for people to come to Pinnacle Equine Therapy, take the Unbridled Equine AquaPacer training at the location in Northwest Arkansas, if either the treadmill is not set up at their location yet, or they're just looking for a different price point instead of me coming to them. And it's something where, in working with people, there are, pluses and minuses to both. But I'm so excited to have a location that I can be having people come in and learn from the water treadmill as well. So what I wanted to do was take a moment and share a video with you guys that shows the water treadmill setup, and the type of training that can go on at Pinnacle Equine Therapy. So the video is just a couple seconds long. We'll see if it works, because videos are always an interesting thing to try. That's a little bit of just a video of Pinnacle Equine, of just really just their setup for their water treadmill. But to give you an idea of what the trainings that we'll be able to offer on site there. And I think this will be so beneficial to the Hudson and rehab people as a whole, but really our Hudson community that we're creating, so that people have the opportunity to learn hands-on. I don't know about you, but I have to touch, feel, learn, do in order to learn. And so I'm excited that there will be not only consulting, business consulting, but also the ability to go on site at your location, or to bring you on site at our location. And in the future, have educational seminars that we're going to be offering there as well. So that's something that we are super excited that's in the works, but I definitely wanted to bring to you. And then last but not least, the next webinar is going to be September 21st. You can put it on your calendar, same time, 12 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And this is, we're going to do another open Q&A. And this is where you can either submit a question prior to, or ask a question during the webinar and put me in the hot seat. And what I love is this is a great opportunity that we did a year ago. And it's really just to allow the community to come together. And I'm happy to share my experiences, but I also I want people to share their experiences as well. Thank you, David. Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for your congratulations. We're really excited. It's been a process. Let me do stop share. There we go. It's been a process kind of figuring out where we were going to land next. We, had a great facility in Illinois, and, had to kind of evolve and change. And so what we're excited about is it's always been in the plans to offer classes and trainings on site. And like I've talked about before, education is really near and dear to me. And so have the opportunity to not only do rehab, but then offer trainings there as well. It's really a perfect fit. And in a more temperate location too, because winters in Illinois, I'm ready to get away from them. So as we speak, I have packers packing my house in the background. If you heard tape going over boxes, that's what's going on in the background. And my family and I are actually leaving tomorrow. So nothing like a webinar as you're moving, and a broken wrist. So I'm really just full of fun things right now. But I'm excited to work with Lori Mason and her Pinnacle team. They're a great group of ladies. And the best part is that with Hudson and Unbridled Equine partnering, we're able to really bring you and continue to bring you educational opportunities that will allow you to run your AquaPacer the best way possible for your horses, but while also keeping your staff safe, you safe, horses safe. And it's something that I just applaud Hudson for, because they not only trusted me to do it, but saw the importance of it. And it really has, I think, been so eye-opening and so much fun for us all to be able to learn from each other, but to go over these topics that otherwise you're just kind of winging it and figuring it out on your own. And we don't need to do that. We can all work together. So with that, if you have any questions, oh, this is great. Shelly asked, thank you, Shelly, so much for your congratulations. Will you be sending out a recording of this webinar? Yes, I will be sending out a recording. It will be coming from Hudson, and it will be, it's just on YouTube. We also have all of our old webinars as well that go through success stories, hot versus cold water, Q&A. I know I'm missing one. Just pop in if you remember it, but there's a whole library of webinars on Hudson's website. And they're also all up on the Unbridled Equine YouTube page as well, for you to go back and watch. And I think it's a great idea, Shelly said, using this for staff training as well. So they can listen to me drone on and on. But something that'll be nice with having a facility that we can utilize and use for education is we'll also be able to hopefully start bringing you a library of videos as well, that will show you a little bit in video what we talk about during webinars and trainings. So yeah, so just I will definitely get this out to you. It'll be in the next day or two. It'll have the link to this webinar and information for the webinar in September.
Well, Katie, Hudson and Pinnacle are fortunate to have you, and we will miss you.
Oh, thank you. I know it's hard to leave. I've been doing this in Chicago for a really, really long time, so it's weird to leave. The nice thing is too, but because I couldn't let go of all of this, I'm going to be based out of Arkansas, but still traveling for all of the trainings that I do, and then traveling for my massage clients as well, because massage is just near and dear to my heart, and I can't give it up. I can't do it for 6 weeks, but I can't give it up. And so I'm so happy I still get to travel around and massage everyone, but it will be weird. I've done horses in Chicago, and I know I'm going to learn way more about Western than I ever have. And who knows, maybe I won't be a hunter jumper anymore. Maybe I'll ride trail horses.
Try it out. Try it out.
You never know, but thank you, Sue. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support.
I'll come visit you sometime in Fayetteville.
In Fayetteville, it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful area, and just a wonderful facility that we're able to be based out of. So we're really appreciative and excited for it.
Well, good luck with the move. I gotta go.
Thank you, Sue. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I'll hang out for a couple minutes. If you have any questions that you want to stay after and ask about. Oh, great trail riding. Good to know, David. Thank you. There is not great trail riding in Chicago, so that'll be a whole new world for me. I'm going to stop the recording here.